of time in which we have to do all of this work. It's important for you to know that because in condensing that timeline, it did take some of the tools cities usually have, like aldermanic changes that require a 60-day notice period post-passage and, particular Class A or Class 1 publications in the newspaper. Those types of things we really didn't have at our fingertips because we have the same deadline that we have to meet in a condensed timeline. So we received plans from both counties at the end of September. I would say within like a day, we were on it, meeting internally with Elissa, Jacob, Andrew, Jane Ellen, and I. We met with Jefferson County first. They came here. They were tremendous partners. And we met with Dodge County virtually, and they assisted as well. And maybe Alyssa will touch on this, but again, I'm just going to say it in general people terms. This all is being built around wards. Your mind is going to want to go to aldermanic maps. Mine wanted to go there every single time I talked about it. But what we're really doing tonight is giving you a proposed plan. We're going to be asking for your feedback by Friday. And that's not because we want to not give you enough time, it's because we don't have a choice. Like, we have to keep this condensed timeline moving. So we can hear your feedback tonight, or you can submit it to us by Friday. And then come October 19th, we'll give you the actual item for your approval via resolution. So these wards make up aldermanic districts, and they make up supervisory districts. And our aldermanic districts have to be inside of those supervisory districts. And then there's also size limits that they have to be. And then there's also a relative deviation percentage. Yep, you heard me. I haven't talked about that since stats in grad school, and I was like, not good at it then. There's a deviation percentage that it is highly recommended that we stay around. The one caveat here is that percentage is 10%. Jefferson County elected to have it be 5%. So that made it a little bit more difficult on us to basically do the size limits we needed to do within that deviation percentage for them. So with that, Elissa's going to talk rules, Andrew's going to talk maps, and then we'll have discussion. If you feel confused at the end of this, don't be ashamed. Just ask the question. It's a very convoluted process. Why wouldn't it be? So with that, I am going to turn it over to Elissa.
So the process between the local and the county really starts at the county level. And this is all set forth in state statute, chapter 59. Counties with a population less than 100,000, but at least 50,000 can have no more than 39 supervisors. Both Jefferson and Dodge County are within that population. And Jefferson currently, I believe, has... Okay. Jefferson, I believe, currently has 30 supervisory districts. Their ideal district size that they were trying to get to when drawing their county soup lines was 2,830. And Dodge County currently has 33 county supervisory districts, and their ideal county supervisory district population, based on the census data, is 2,709 people. I need to change the slide. So then, after the city is done drawing its wards, this will go back to the county, and the county has to hold a public hearing because of the very tight turnaround that the mayor was describing. Each of the county boards have a public hearing tentatively scheduled for the first week in November, and both of them plan to adopt, I believe, on November 9th. Then we can switch slides. So then our portion of the work is kind of done in the middle of the county's two phases. And that's set forth in State Statute Chapter 5. So the wards that we are working on drawing have to be contained within a supervisory district. The wards can't cross a supervisory district line. The wards are supposed to be at least 600 people, not more than 2,100 people. You will see one ward tonight in Dodge County that is at 493, I believe, and I have discussed this with Dodge County. They have a few other municipalities that are in the same position and that are proposing wards that do not meet that 600 rule. But they were in agreement that there's not really a way around it. So once the wards are established, they are supposed to remain unchanged unless the ward boundaries have to be changed to permit creation of additional or change the supervisory or county supervisory or aldermanic districts to make them substantially equal population. Or they can also be changed in the future outside of the decennial census if it would improve participation of minority groups in the political process. And then, so what we're drawing is wards. We are proposing to combine wards into aldermanic districts. And something that will be a change for us is every aldermanic district was previously comprised of 2 wards, and we had to draw kind of some mini wards where we needed to add or subtract population to make an aldermanic district. So a few of our, in the proposal tonight, a few of the aldermanic districts will actually have 3 wards instead of 2. This does create a little bit of challenge with election administration. Previously, whenever you go to the table, there's only one ballot style in your district. So it will be something new to me and new to the poll workers to have to deal with having different ballot styles within one aldermanic district at the polling place. But it's doable. Other municipalities do it all the time where they're located in multiple school districts. Let's see. So, yeah, the counties have kept reminding me that we're drawing wards and not aldermanic districts, but in my mind, we have to keep the aldermanic districts in our minds while we're doing this process, because our aldermanic districts should, similar to the county supervisory districts, should be of an ideal size. So we were trying to build the wards so that they could be combined into aldermanic districts later, which will come in about a month. Go to
This one?
I think I pretty much went through
I think so.
everything. So I think we're at the maps. Yeah,
Andrew?
because we've talked about the timeline. I don't know if you want me to go into that anymore. This should have been happening months ago. It shouldn't have been concurrent with our budget process. But because of COVID, the census data came out months later than it was supposed to. So we basically have no choice but to get a resolution passed on the 19th so that the counties can hold their public hearings in early November. And the reason for all this is there's a hard deadline, publication deadline, that county clerks and municipal clerks have to meet. We have to publish notice of the spring election on November 23rd. I have to have that notice to the paper 4 business days before November 23rd. So we have to know what our wards and aldermanic districts are before I can do that publication and before candidates for running for office next year can start doing their papers and soliciting signatures.
I don't know if you guys reconciled this at the end of the day, but is there any value in mentioning that we may have to do this in one meeting?
Potentially, the creating the aldermanic districts has to be done by ordinance. That has to have a Class 2 notice, which is 2 insertions, with the second insertion in the paper coming at least a week before the ordinance is presented. So that would require us to put the notice in the paper prior to our wards being approved on October 19th. So I think we may have to propose the ordinance creating the aldermanic districts the second meeting in November, and suspend the rules and adopt, do both readings in the same night.
We haven't done that, I don't know if
We've
any
done
of
it
you.
once.
Yeah, I've done it plenty of times, when Mayor David was here. We haven't had to do it a whole heck of a lot. It's definitely not ideal for something like this, but this whole thing hasn't been ideal. So this is one that's just likely going to be out of our control. We won't have the maps approved, so we can't really notice something that isn't approved, and then we have to have it done by the 23rd. So if you have concerns about that, that's why I'm glad you mentioned it now. Just let me know so that we can kind of talk through what those are. And I don't know if we're going to have a way around it, but I at least wanted you guys to have the awareness. So maps? Okay, Andrew.
All right. So the boundaries being presented before you tonight are the results of the large level of effort spearheaded by the clerk's treasurer's office. A program called WISE LR was used. It's a state-issued GIS-based software. And the boundaries presented before you are a result of that program. So tonight I'm just going to go through each district, some of the changes that were between the last redistricting in 2011 and this redistricting, and go through the deviations and populations in each district. So Aldermanic District 1, it's the orange, 2 shades of orange. Each shade correlates to...
These, I don't know if it's on enough. Yeah, it's on the mic. I might have tightened that too much.
Better?
Just remember this when the budget requests, you guys.
So the Aldermanic District 1 is comprised of wards 1 and 2. They're 2 different shades of orange as shown on the PowerPoint. The population and the new boundary is 2,736. And I want to touch on deviation a little bit. It's deviation above a mean. So we've got the population of the city of Watertown divided between 9 aldermanic districts. That's the mean population per aldermanic district. The deviation is the percentage of population above or below that mean. And as the mayor mentioned before, we have to maintain a 10% deviation. So the major change in District 1 comes around the Laborie Street area. This is currently in Aldermanic District number 6, and under the proposed redistricting, a portion of that area is going to be moved to District 1. So the maps that I handed out earlier are kind of an overlay of what we're proposing over existing aldermanic districts and wards. So the 2 shades of each color in each district correlate to existing aldermanic districts and wards. The black outline, it's kind of a thicker line, that's the proposed new boundary. So as you can see in District 1, the gray area formerly or currently is in Aldermanic District 6, and under this redistricting, we're proposing to move that to Aldermanic District number 1.
So that's that bottom left corner where you see a different color. I can't point on here. That's where Andrew's referring to. It's hard to see that black line, but it cuts right along the river.
Everything east of Laborie down to Bowden.
And if
Yep.
there's any questions, I've got 2 blown up maps where you can see the boundaries a little more clearly.
Okay?
Aldermanic District 2, it's the 3 purple shades, and it's comprised of wards 5, 6, and 7. This is the district that includes the ward that Elissa referred to before, with having a population less than 600. The population in this new boundary is 2,411, and the deviation is 5.34% below that mean. So here you can see in the southwest portion of the district, a portion is going to be removed, and that will go to Aldermanic District number 5. Additionally, there's a little bit of land swap between District 6 and number 2 on the north end of District 2 and kind of the eastern portion of the district.
Just slice it and dice my district over here.
Yeah, sorry.
If you only knew how many slicing and dicings there were.
District 3 is shown in the blue boundaries. It comprises of wards 16 and 17, and the population as presented is 2,783. The deviation here is 9.27%. And one of the big changes here is East Haven Drive subdivision area is proposed to be removed from this district and moved to Aldermanic District number 9. On the other side of the coin, the Richards Avenue area, a portion of the Richards Avenue area would be removed from District 9 to 3. Aldermanic District number 4. These are the peach or orange shaded boundary areas as shown on the slide. It comprises of wards 14 and 15, and the population is 2,347 as proposed. The deviation here is 7.85% below that mean. And a large portion of the existing district would be removed as proposed. It's the southern portion of the district, and it's substantial.
This is the one that was changed quite substantially by Jefferson County supervisory boundaries.
District 5 is shown in the blue boundaries here. Dodge County is shown on the left, and Jefferson County is shown on the right. The composition here is wards 8, 9, and 10, and the population under this proposed boundary is 2,668. The deviation is 4.75% above the mean. A couple of notable changes here include in Jefferson County, part of the Belinsky area subdivision is going to be removed from District 8 and added to District 5. On the Dodge County end, a portion of District 2 is going to be reallocated to District 5. Aldermanic District 6, this is the green boundary up on the screen, and it comprises of wards 3 and 4. The population of this new boundary is 2,274 people, and the deviation is 10.72% below that mean. A notable change here is that Laborie Street area being removed from the district and reallocated to District 1.
And it's the part right along the river that we talked about with District 1.
Correct. District 7 is shown in the green boundary, and it comprises of wards 11, 12, and 13. The population here is 2,578 people as proposed, and it's 1.22% above that mean. A portion of, District 8 would be moved to District 7. It's the Bernard Street area, kind of on the south end of the District 7. And the boundary on the east side of the district will be changed a little bit. District 8 is shown in purple here. It comprises of wards 20, 21, and 22, and the population of that new boundary is 2,740. The deviation is 7.58%. And here we're removing the northwestern portion to District 5, as I previously mentioned, a little on the north to District 7, and then the portion removed from District 4 would be reallocated to District number 8 here, as proposed. District 9 is shown in brown. The composition here is wards 18 and 19, and the population is 2,389 people. The deviation here, I believe, is 6.2% below that mean. And the biggest change here is that East Haven Drive subdivision area is getting added, and a portion of the Richards Avenue subdivision is getting reallocated to District 3.
Those folks are purple, that was in your district.
Again, we've got big maps printed out where you can see street names and features, so if you want to take a look at your boundary, feel free to do so.
Just had a couple comments. So Aldermanic District 5 was previously our smallest district by far. It was back when they did redistricting in 2011. I was not here, but even back then, that district was 40% smaller than the rest of the Aldermanic districts in population. I'm not sure if that was because they were hoping for future growth in that area, or, but with the population today, it still remains our smallest district. And without taking some area from what's currently in Aldermanic 2 on the Dodge side and what's currently in Aldermanic 8 on the Jefferson side, we would still be at a really poor deviation level for Aldermanic 5. So this brings Aldermanic 5 up to be within the 10%.
And by poor, we were at like 20%, 40%.
40,
Yeah.
There's two issues that I've kind of been going back and forth with the counties. One is that Lavery.
Yep.
So if you go to the slide with Aldermanic District 1, that has the word deviation, everything listed on it, that one. So the maps that we're working with are divided into census tracts, which are not necessarily equal to our city blocks. But the census data shows 35 people on the side of Lavery that butts up against the river. If I put that 35 people into the green section to the left, that would put those 35 people in Aldermanic 6, which would bring Aldermanic 6 under the 10% deviation. It crosses the county supervisory district line. They said it wouldn't make or break their numbers. So I guess that's one we're looking for feedback on. They just thought it was an odd line to not follow the river all the way down. So,
So the way we have it drawn now would put those into one. It puts District 6.72 above that 10%. This is what the county prefers, but they're also understanding that we've, pushed this as far as we can possibly push it. So if we need to put this 35 back in the green, we can. That would make part of Lavery in one district and the other part in another, but that's not uncommon, throughout the community. So right now, it's in District 1, so we would be looking for feedback by Friday on what your thought is on that one. And then the second one is,
the second one, if you could slide to Aldermanic 9, I think shows it best.
okay,
It affects Aldermanic 3 and Aldermanic 9. It's 67 people, kind of on the inside of East Haven. And the line doesn't make much sense. Placing it in Aldermanic 3 makes more geographic sense, but it would bring the population in Aldermanic 3 above 10% deviation.
what color
So-
is the 30, this,
So the brown, it's the 67, it's kind of that 67 people circle on the very right side of the map, like right middle.
can I write on it right now?
It's on the green line.
Is that Concord Avenue?
It's right
Self-Concord?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's the East Haven people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that was another one that We were kind of going back and forth with the county because we're trying to make the numbers work under 10%, but we can't take an area that has too many people in it, because then they'll throw the county's numbers out of whack, and so it's been a difficult back and
The
forth.
67, these numbers represent census tracts or people. What this looks like is all the cul-de-sacs off of East Haven. Not the home, like, there's a traditional kind of more square oval neighborhood, and then there's the cul-de-sacs off the back. So this would just be the cul-de-sacs off the back. And then West Haven obviously stays. So we moved it because that's what the Jefferson County preferred. And it does stay within the percentage.
No, I think Jefferson County would prefer that it would stay blue and remain in
Theirs.
Ward 17, which is Aldermanic 3, but that would throw Aldermanic 3 above the 10%. They would probably prefer if that 67.
Went back to blue. Okay. So those are the two kind of anomaly items at this point that we'd be you can submit feedback for anything. I can tell you though that this, I mean, you've heard me say this, you probably heard mayors before me say it. When we say this has been a lot of work, like this has been a ton of work to try to get compliant with the two main things we have to do. One is to show a good faith effort to comply with the county's lines, and then the second is to be in that 10% range. So, I mean, Elissa has just done an incredible amount of work. Andrew's been, and Jacob, everyone's been really helpful with mapping. That's what they did for us. You know, GIS is more their gig than it is Elissa's. However, Elissa may have gotten very used to this version in the last week. So if you have, you know, big questions, please make sure that you talk to me about those. But otherwise, we're just looking for any feedback you may have or feedback about these two items in particular. Yeah.
Did anyone on the council leave their district, or are we all still in the same?
I think everyone stays in their district.
Close.
Close?
The district boundary is on my property line.
Oh, really?
I was worried about Bob. You're okay, Bob?
I'm fine, pal. 4 houses.
Really?
4 houses away, yeah.
You guys are cutting it close for us.
Well, I mean,
You're taking a bunch of my people.
allow the shock on my face to tell you how much we are really just trying to meet the rules, right? Like, at one point, we're like, are people still in? And we're like, yeah, but that was probably 4 maps ago. So
Oh, that's
I
Jared.
think we're fine. Yeah.
Oh,
Mr.
that's
Pash?
Jared, man.
In terms of the voting of the constituents, what kind of impact do you anticipate from those their voting will be skipped if they go from an odd to an even district?
I don't know the answer to that offhand. How does,
So we would be next year, it's an even year, so we're electing 2, 4, 6, and 8. So
Doing all this work on Labyrinth, and you're gonna take them away from me.
you can blame the county.
They'll be confused.
So they miss voting, is what he's asking. Because they were in District 2, and now they're moving to District 1, so they didn't vote last year, and now they wouldn't vote again.
It would be the same for those that are in District 6.
That's the question that he's
Yeah,
asking.
6 to 1.
So
Is that right, Mr. Pash?
Yeah, correct. I just want to see what the impact was on the voters.
the
Wouldn't affect those or
constituents
odd ones.
that are moving into your
6 and
district are now represented
8 and
by
5.
you.
8 and 5.
Which and I don't have an election
So
coming up.
they,
so then-
correct, they wouldn't.
Can we
vote
institute this after? No, it has to be,
6.
Not, we have no choice on the timing of instituting.
well, just, from a PR standpoint, certainly, communicating in a manner that they don't feel
I
like
think
they're.
we are required to send letters to everyone who moves to a different district.
Sure.
So we will communicate that to them, but I think that that's a good item to consider to include in the letter. I don't know how much leeway we have on that letter, but if we have some leeway, it may be good to answer that question proactively for people.
Sure.
Other feedback?
And it might be helpful if I think I can send out an uneditable link.
So people can kind of look around a little closer.
It's helpful to see it in the YSLR program, because you can see the population in each census tract and see what happens, you know, well, if I take away this 120 people, you know, then this district is
Yeah.
too small or too large.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, I was gonna ask about the 10% deviation, but Andrew explained exactly where that came from in regards to the median average within the city divided by Aldermanic District. I think including that blurb in there somehow, so people understand what
In the
that
letter.
deviation, what that deviation context is, because they hear 10%, they're like, that's a huge swing for deviation numbers, but if you give them the context, the mean as a districting goes, that will help them give context to that number.
Sure, good idea. Other comments or questions?
When's the last time we did something like this?
It's every 10 years.
Yeah.
Oh,
After every census. I will say, there, you can redo, oh, stop me if I'm wrong, but we can redraw aldermanic maps, I think, once every 2 years, if we wanted to. So we could do that with ours, but this process happens after a census.
Or at large, something easier.
Yeah.
At large.
Yeah.
So then there's some districts.
Right. I think is it Fort Atkinson that's completely at large? Jefferson. Everyone's at large. So then this is a much simpler effort.
I think Fond du Lac is the same way.
Might be. It's more common than you think. Other comments?
What's the benefit of that?
I mean, I think that is up to interpretation. I can say from my own experience, there's been districts I have to beg someone to run, and then there's been districts where 4 people run. So if you, I mean, like literally are going through lists, like praying someone like Mr. Lick comes out of the woodwork and submits his name. And then there's districts like Mr. Pasher, when it was my district, where 4 people run. So then those, you don't have as much of that. You have people that want to be on. And there's also ones that have, 8 districts and 1 at large. Or 6 districts and 3 at large. So there's different ways to do it. And probably something we should consider, but and ideally, under good circumstances, we would have considered that here, but we just don't have the time to. Literally, like legally paper time, it's not there. Anybody else? So to summarize, comments please by Friday. And again, that's not an arbitrary deadline, we have to get stuff back to the county, and then the clock ticks. Also, if you have concern about the potential suspension of our rules, and that rule is just, it leaves the 2 weeks, right? So we read the ordinance once, 2 weeks goes by, we read it again. The methodology behind that is, people who didn't have an opportunity to come would be able to come. But if that ends up being the only way that we can achieve the timeline, that we may have to take that action. So if you have questions or concerns about what that is, let me know in advance too, please. Anything else? If you'd like that link from Elissa, please let us know. I will tell you, it's, Elissa thinks it's a very intuitive mapping. It is not. But if you'd like it, let us know and we'll try to get you a link that can't disrupt anything. So, okay. With that, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Romline. Second by Wetzel. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, we have 5 minutes. I've got to fix some IT stuff here. Andrew.
So much fun stuff.